Hey, welcome back to Press Play Action here, Jersey Nerds Productions, all that other bull crap. Tommy Grant along with Mitchell Lee and Brandon too, and I don't know why'd I give Tommy first billing this go round?
Yeah, it is
I
what it
don't
is.
know. Just felt like the right thing to do
It's just
since
my
Tommy
lucky
just
week.
chopped half the hair off his face. So he's basically a new man at this point, or maybe he did
I
that
feel
last week
refreshed.
and I just didn't notice. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about the How to Train Your Dragon sequels. We talked about Lilo and we talked about Stitch, and then we talked about Hiccup last week as well. And by the way, that live action Lilo and Stitch movie was pure diuretic bullshit. Do not see it. Do not pay to see it.
Do not see
Uh,
it.
so yeah, I
The general audience would disagree with you, Mitchell, because it is doing numbers at the box office right now.
yeah. Well, money is not equal to quality.
True.
I
No,
I
fair
think
point.
Do you
most
know what its
people
current
know that.
rating is though? Because I've been seeing either people enjoyed it just for the nostalgia purposes, and then people truly hated it for all the changes they made to it.
Right, there's too many changes.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, financially, I mean, they made a shit ton of money this past weekend.
Which
I've
means they're going to
learned
keep doing this because it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I've learned in the last I don't know 2-3 my life that the general population is really stupid. In the last 10 years in particular, it's been like abundantly clear like wow,
I'm glad
most
you're
of you
catching
just
on
have
to that.
most of you have IQs
I
that
think
start
people
with a
just want to be
negative.
entertained, which is, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it is what it is. But not to get too far into the
It's,
live
a
it's
action.
not
dog
Lilo
even.
with
and
a
Stitch.
stick would be
It's
more
not even
entertaining.
entertainment. It's more of just Disney. As much as I love Disney, because I grew up on
I
Disney.
also like Disney too.
I'm a
Yeah, I
Disney
like Disney
fanatic.
too.
But Disney has gotten to the point where they're putting money into nostalgia rather than originality. That's the
Sure.
problem.
Correct,
And
good sir.
and I think the worst part of it is Lilo and Stitch is an original idea that made all this money, and they're
Yep.
just like, let's remake
And I
that
mean,
into live
it's
action.
from a business standpoint, yeah, it makes sense because you have a generation that grew up on these movies, like myself, now
That
bringing
will
their
then
kids
take their kids to see
to
this
these
movie.
movies
Yes.
like I did this past weekend, and my daughter loved it. She didn't know anything different. Me, I was sitting there. I still enjoyed the movie for what it was, but all the changes, I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Like we're making these changes to the movie,
Right.
and they
My
they're getting
pushback.
lazy. They're
Yeah,
getting lazy, and
it's
that's the problem.
lazy. It's lazy IP moves. My pushback to all of the remakes would be, why not just make like a third Lilo and Stitch, or make a sequel, or like just do something that's like unique and original. You
Or
don't have
do
to
spin-offs.
remake the
I mean,
story, or
Disney
spin-offs.
when they started the live action kind of phenomenon in the 2010s, they hit a good
Yes.
stride like with originality because you had the Maleficent movies where you had a character from the original Disney animated movie,
Yeah,
but
that did
they
work.
did a different take on it.
Right,
They
that did
did the
work.
Cinderella movie, which was good. They did whatchamacallit, Beauty and the Beast. The
Yeah,
Jungle Book
Beauty and the
was
Beast
okay.
was decent. I haven't seen all of them. I've literally protested like not seeing them because I'm like, they're live action remakes. Like, why do I fucking
Attaboy.
need to see them?
Yeah.
Um, but my
So
ultimate point with all of it is just make original ideas. Like, just do.
yeah,
Well, hey, guess what? Let's talk about DreamWorks doing the exact same thing, but
I was about
not
to say that.
just yet. We talked about the movie that they're going to be well, they've already greenlit How to Train Your Dragon 2, the live action
Oh,
version,
they have.
because they know that this one is going to do really well. That comes out in a
Yes.
few weeks, so they've already greenlit the second one, and it comes out in 2 years. So they're probably going to start making that at some point next year. So let's talk about
My big
the
question is,
animated.
what kind of
Go ahead.
changes are they going to make?
Well,
Are
we
they going to?
will, because Lilo and Stitch made some changes that were just awful and stupid
Yeah.
and did nothing for anybody. So hopefully, How to Train
Yeah,
Your Dragon, which
tie it
that
into
live
this
action
live
version
action
is going to be
remake.
over 2
Yeah,
hours
let's do it.
long. So there's definitely going to be some additional stuff.
Yep.
We'll see what exactly that entails, but let's go ahead and talk about the sequels now. How to Train Your Dragon 2. This movie came out June 13th, 2014. Now, someone might be saying, Mitchell,
Oh,
why in the
okay.
hell are you
See,
saying that date that way?
Can I
Just talk
propose
like a
something, Mitchell?
normal
You should have said
person,
in the year of
man.
our
Just,
Lord.
just shut the fuck up.
No, I'm just kidding. I
But
love when videos do
I
that.
say that
dude.
date
Sorry.
because
Sorry. I know you're not. I know
we've
you're
got
not.
our
I know
box
you're not.
office
Keep going.
trivia. And we've got 2 questions for you. Because I'm not religious, so I'm not doing that. So June 13th,
Minority
2014
Report
was
and-
truly a great day for double features, right? You have your great days like that, like the Barbenheimer phenomenon. Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible was a great one for the box office, but maybe not on the Lilo side as far as quality goes. There you go. The original Lilo and Stitch and Minority Report would have been a good one.
Perusing.
Great day for the box office as well as quality when How to Train Your Dragon 2 and this other sequel came out on the exact same day. What is it?
It's funny you asked that, Mitchell, because I was, had nothing to do this afternoon and just happened to be perusing.
What
Cheating?
What
I
year?
wonder what
Cheating?
Mitchell's going to ask us this week because he asked us the same
The
damn
year of
question
our
every
Lord,
time.
yeah.
So, like, you know what?
I'm gonna look
I'm
on
gonna do a little
2014, year of our
research
Lord.
because I'm curious what it might be. I already know the answer.
2014, man.
All right, well then I'm gonna leave Brandon
No,
to
you're
answer
good,
this
you're good.
question. Then
I think it's funny, to be honest.
2014.
you're the one talking about it's the year of our Lord
I think it's hilarious
2014
when videos
when the
do that.
angels
But,
and demons came down from above.
2014. Let's see. I
And
was
they
just out of
summoned
high
by the
school.
dragons.
Sorry, people.
It wouldn't have been.
They're like, I came here to listen to y'all talk about movies.
No. No. Cut that. No, I'm just kidding. We don't need to. So Django.
You were just out of high school. Oh, in
Django
2014. I thought you were saying you were just out of high
Django,
school.
So it wasn't
I'm like,
Django.
Don't be, please.
Oh, he said sequel. Oh God.
You know we don't cut anything
Toy Story
here.
3. Okay, I don't know then.
Remember, he said sequel.
I didn't ask what
So
it wasn't.
Toy Story
Brandon.
4. I mean,
Yes. Django rechained and then unchained again.
It was a sequel double feature.
No, Brandon, it's not Toy Story 3. That was 2010. No,
22.
Okay. So Tommy, in your infinite. No, Brandon.
In my infinite wisdom, Brandon, I
in
will
your infinite
tell you
cheating
what
That'd have been
wisdom.
such a great bit if they were
It
like,
is the
skip to
sequel
24.
to 21 Jump Street. Brandon, can you guess the movie? There you go.
I fully expected him to be like 25 Jump Street, like just miss it terribly. Yeah.
In the run, yeah.
22 Jump Street came
Interesting.
out the exact same day. Funny enough, both sequels with Jonah Hill. And 22 Jump Street actually made more money on opening weekend and in the domestic box office than How to Train Your Dragon 2 did. This movie was the number 17 highest grossing movie of 2014. It disappointed a little bit. I remember thinking it was going to be gigantic because it was really the only kids movie coming out that summer, and it was a sequel to a really beloved movie, and I thought it would be a lot. I mean, this still did well. It was a movie that had a $145 million budget, made $621 million overall, so it did well.
We ruled out
as good as I thought that it
we
would
ruled
do.
out Toy
It was
Story.
the third highest grossing animated movie of 2014 behind.
Yeah, we ruled out Toy Story, so we go with that.
Did you look up that,
Big Hero
Tommy?
6?
Oh,
Lego Movie?
Someone hit his steroids. Yes, no, it's not a Toy Story movie, Brandon.
I could have said
Toy Story
Penguins,
3.5.
like I still could have missed.
That's 1. That's 2. I know you got that Wikipedia up, Brandon. Yeah, but good job. Well, that would have been wrong, but yeah, you could have done that. But all right, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the sequel to How to Train Your Dragon. I know, shocking concept, but 5 years after the first movie, and Hiccup's a little bit older, and the world of the dragons is expanding. We get to meet some new people, some for good, some for bad. I'm leaving it a little bit vague because we will get into it, and
So
I'm
this
just going to go
movie-
ahead and put my cards flat on the table and just lay them there. This is my favorite movie made by DreamWorks Animation. I love this movie so much, and I know that this is when people talk about the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, it's kind of seen as one is the best, and then there's a bit of a step down for 2, and then a little bit of a step down after that for 3, which is strange because when these movies were coming out, 1 and 2 were kind of seen as equals. Over time, people have really gravitated more towards the first one over the second one, and my love for both has grown. But this second one here, it does everything that a sequel should do, in that it's not just repeating the same story, but it's building on the characters and also expanding the world. And I think that this movie does that spectacularly.
I think
Oh
I
well,
probably stand
shocker!
in
It's
the
gonna be an A
side of the
plus.
fence where
Woo!
I
Yeah.
like
Like,
2
what's it
more
gonna be
than
one?
1. Not by
Really?
not by
So I
much,
guess
but I
I'm
mean
in
they're both
the
A pluses
minority
in
on
my
this
book,
podcast,
but
but probably the
2 is
majority
definitely my
in
favorite.
We didn't
real
get
life.
grades
Yeah,
yet.
I'm a
Tom.
hater
Followed by
apparently,
1
according to
and
Mitchell.
Little tease.
Or just in general, I guess I needed this movie to be good enough to be in my Hall of Fame, Tommy. It's, my Hall of Fame is too soft, but apparently not for this movie. So,
Hater.
overall, I really, really like this movie, and on Letterboxd, I think I actually put in my review a worthy sequel to a fantastic animated movie. And Tommy said before we started this trilogy that this might be one of the best trilogies he's ever seen, animated or otherwise. And I fully back that watching these 2 movies. Like, just what they do in this second one stands up to what they do in the first one. I think I felt more emotionally involved in the first one. And maybe that's because you get more time with Hiccup and all of like what they're doing inside of trying to train together and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest idea, is like you get more time with Hiccup and Toothless like training together, whereas like in 2 I don't think you really get that same vibe. So that's probably why it's a little bit of a step down for me, but in terms of everything else they did, I think it's as good if not better. I think this is an awesome movie, and yeah, I mean, cards on the table, Mitchell, this is an A plus as well for me. I know we haven't given out grades yet, but it is what it is. Mitchell, you said it was your favorite DreamWorks movie of all time. That means it's probably in your Hall of Fame or very fucking close. I mean, what are we doing? Yeah, I mean, like, what are we doing here?
We're just who knows? It could be an
Right.
F. No, I'm
Burk
just kidding. All right. Well, yeah. If I'm saying that it's an A plus, and I'll get to the specifics of it later. Of course,
I have this as
I'm
a
not
very
going to,
high A plus.
ruin the surprise if there is such a thing. So, Tommy,
yes.
as those of us who are not giant ass haters like
Yeah,
Brandon is,
Yeah.
no, I do want to recognize that Brandon may very well have a higher grade on this movie than I will, but I'm still going to call him a hater for this.
I did, and that animation.
I think that the animation in this
was
movie
really good.
is the best that it is in the entire trilogy. I think that okay, Brandon, did you see Princess
tie
Mononoke
this
in
together.
theaters? I feel like you did.
It's a
Okay.
random movie to throw out.
Good call.
I feel like it's not a random animation to throw out, Tommy, you hating ass bastard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say that it reminded me of Princess Mononoke in a lot of ways, and that kind of like protector of nature type, particularly with Hiccup's the character of Hiccup's mom. I definitely and her design when she's wearing the mask, it definitely reminded me a lot of Princess Mononoke, and that's an animated movie that I just adored. That I'm glad I got to see earlier this year from Studio Ghibli. but I think I may have liked this even more than that, which I know is just blasphemous to some people, but I think that the dragon designs were really inspired in a lot of animated
Yeah,
movies. Like I'm not going to call anyone out particularly, the Minions.
yeah,
Again, not calling anyone out particularly though. It's just kind of a cut, copy, and paste type of animation
Yeah.
style where all of these dragons have different designs, and I really appreciated that. It makes the world feel a lot more
because
lived
they're
in,
supposed to be.
and
Well,
that was just something that I really liked
yeah, they're
seeing.
not supposed to be
Well,
individualized
something I want to
characters.
point
Like
out
they're
is
supposed to
one,
look
yes, Minions
all
is
the
very
same, kind of. I
cookie
mean,
cutter,
yeah, I
copy
mean
and
that's
paste,
kind
but
of the
that's
point.
it.
Hey,
Also,
fuck the
it
Minions.
also
No,
serves their
that,
purpose
okay,
because
yeah.
their purpose is to be goofy little minions. They're not supposed to have individuality. They're just supposed to be. But
Okay, yeah.
but
I mean,
to
you don't
that
make bad points, but
to
Oh yeah,
that
that's a
point,
good point too.
How to Train Your Dragon 2, I think, stands out above 1 because of the animation is better, because they made the dragons customized more to their rider. So while we don't necessarily get as much character growth and expansion in this film that we might have gotten in movie 1 because it purely focused really on Hiccup, we get to
I
see growth
disagree.
through all the
Point.
dragons because each rider has their own dragon that kind of resembles them. So we kind of see
To
more
to piggyback
personalities of
off
other
your
people
to
that we don't
piggyback off your Princess
necessarily get
Mononoke point,
dialogue or growth
I
from, but we
think
can
the
kind of see who they are as a
landscapes and the
person by
way
their dragon.
that is like
I
shown
do
in the
not agree
sweeping
with the
like
character
field
bit.
shots in the
Um,
air when they're in the air and stuff like that.
I think
I
that you
think
get.
that's
Oh, go
very
ahead.
Princess Mononoke like. Um, right, kind of like both of those together, and to be yeah, to be honest, visually, like some of the things they do animation wise with like
Got a bit of a
when they death
Princess
spiral in the
Mononoke and
air to like
Avatar
come
mix
down,
type
like
of thing,
I think some of that
which
stuff
are
just
not bad
looks
movies at all
really
to be
fucking
compared to
cool.
visually.
And like that's what makes this movie stand out is like yeah, very much more colorful than the first one. And I think there's like a reason for that. It's like, okay, the first one, it's like they're
Yeah,
fighting the dragons. There's like a conflict
it's
there.
a much
The
more colorful
world's kind of
movie
a dark
compared to the
place.
first one.
And then like this movie, it's like, oh, we've freed all the dragons. The dragons are like free to come live with us in Burk. And like we've kind of like yeah, the world's opened up. It's a lighter place. And so I think that's like intentional. And I think that's a really cool idea from like how they decided to do all that stuff. So I think that's what makes the animation like so cool is like it's
The
colorful, it's
world's
bright,
opened
it's in
up.
your face, and it's customized like you said. Like you get like a vibe of like, oh, like
Yeah,
that dragon goes with that character. This dragon goes with this character. And I think that's really cool. Like you don't usually see that with a lot of like takes on dragons. There like isn't like that feel to it. And I feel like that is lost sometimes. Um, yeah, I just think it's a really awesome movie visually. And yeah, like you said, to be compared to those two movies visually is like no small feat. So yeah.
and you got a full name call out, Mitchell. But I didn't realize
Oh yeah,
until I
there
was
is.
going
Yeah, yeah.
through that when I was watching the sequel, I was like, "There's a lot of like time gap kind of jumps."
Did
where,
they
like, we
make
see
4 seasons?
development
Because I
that we
only
don't really
saw
get much
one
background
on
to,
Peacock.
and I didn't realize, but there's a TV show for
Interesting.
How to Train Your Dragon.
And
Plays
is
between
it like
movies
the
1 and 2,
backstory
and
to
they have
like
4
how they got
seasons
to
worth
2?
of
Because it
stuff.
is a 5-year gap.
Really? Oh
It's a
wow,
5-year
that's a
gap.
lot more than I thought.
Yes,
See,
I have it up now. It's
if you're
4
gonna make a
seasons
fucking
long.
TV show, if you're gonna
That
do
started out
something
in
like do something
2012.
like that, like you know what I mean? Like yeah, like let's fucking go. Like
It shows them
man,
expanding
you really
Burke
just
and finding other dragons and all these other
you're
characters.
really
Kind of
just
are,
harping on DreamWorks
yeah.
Not the Megamind stuff.
here. Yeah,
DreamWorks, you did it right. Why you got to do it wrong?
You get more
I
Tough
think you
Nut.
also
Are
you
you
get
a Tough
addition
Nut
by
fan? I feel
subtraction
like
in this movie, as far as I'm concerned. One of my bigger complaints with the first movie was some of the side characters with the celebrity voices. I just didn't really need those characters in the
this.
movie, and I hate them all. So
Oh,
I think you get a
Yeah, that's a good
lot
point. That's a
less
good
of
call.
those characters in this particular movie, which might which might be the reason why it's my favorite. But I also liked all of the stuff that they did with Hiccup's parents, with Stoic, and with Volca, voiced by Kate Blanchett, which I thought it was really funny. I don't know if it was a direct reference to this or if it was just a joke in the movie. But in 22 Jump Street, the one that came out the same day as How to Train Your Dragon, um, Channing Tatum is kind of going over with his officer, voiced by or played by Nick Offerman. I was about to call him Ron Swanson because that's just kind of who he is to me. And he says, "I thought you said we had Kate Blanchett." And he's like,
Yeah,
"No,
yeah.
I said you had Carte
But that's
Blanche, you
why
fucking idiot," or
that's
something
why
like that.
22 Jump Street.
And so it was kind of
That's why
funny that they
22 Jump
referenced
Street
like, "Oh, I
is
thought we were
like
getting
next
Kate
level
Blanchett for
comedy,
the
in my
sequel
opinion.
in the movie
But
that they were facing off against in the box office."
I like his parents.
Did get
Which-
Kate
which is
Blanchett for
funny
the
'cause
sequel.
Jonah
I like
Hill
his parents in this movie, and to jump ahead to
Jonah
the
Hill's
next
in
one,
both. He's like,
like
"Hey, I
his
can't
parents in
lose."
the next one. I mean, I really like the storyline of what they
great.
did with that. Is what I'm kind of getting.
What do we
at.
think
Like,
about
the
his
story
parents in
is,
this?
Like, cool.
Because they have a big focus in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the storyline of how they introduced his mom, and you kind of get to see where Hiccup gets his personality from. Because obviously his mom's a very nature loving, dragon loving kind of person, who obviously is polar opposite to his dad, and just the whole
Favorite
her
favorite
desperation
line
of
in the
wanting to
movie.
protect the dragons, but also wanting to go back to her family, but knowing she couldn't or
Yeah.
thinking she couldn't. I thought that was a really powerful story. And then obviously when the two are reunited, like Stoic just drops everything and he's like,
You really feel the time between both
I
of
think in
those
this
two
case,
characters
it's the voice.
in a
It's
way
the
that a
voice
lot
acting.
of
I think it's
movies
just
give lip
my
service
favorite.
to. Some movies just kind of have this
Yeah, he
sauce,
is.
whether
My
that's
favorite
writing,
line
whether
in the
that's
whole
the
movie
voice
is stop being
performances,
so
whatever the
stoic,
case
stoic.
may
And I'm
be.
like, oh, that's good.
This
That was
movie
good.
pulls it off really
that's
well.
that's what his character is. Yeah, I was like, that character is
Gerard
like
Butler's
that.
really good in
Like,
this series, man.
He just wasn't gonna say anything because he was just happy to see her again. And I think that's like okay.
I
At
see
the
what
end
you
of the
did there.
day, I just really like what they did with his mom, and I think she's a really awesome character. And I guess the trade off for not having like Hiccup and Toothless together more is okay, we get this relationship now and we get to build on this relationship. And I think that's a really strong one. And I really appreciated the storyline. Like they didn't just throw something together. Like it just felt like there was like real thought behind what they were doing on the screen or like what they were going for. And I appreciate that in a trilogy. Because you could just throw something together and be like, yeah, we're gonna try to make money, and like that's how like we're just gonna throw together a sequel, and we're gonna throw together a third one. But it seems like they really had this planned out as like a story, and I really appreciate that.
I also really
Yeah.
liked, and I've heard this as a criticism of the movie, but it works for me a lot. In that, oh well, why would Hiccup just go and try to talk to the main villain of the movie? Well, because the first time around, that's kind of what happened. He was just kind of able to say, hey, this is what I was able to do. This works. He was able to show it a little bit, but at
Right.
the end of the day, he didn't have to, use force or anything like that to convince his people that this is the way that we should be trying to live. And
Yep.
so he has success with that. And he is And, in this movie, he's 20. So he's not going to be, his frontal lobe's not done developing. So but he's also not the quick to war type that his dad is, who has experience dealing with people like Drago Bloodfist. And so I thought that the conversations between Hiccup and Stoic as far as how to deal with this were not a negative the way that some people take them to be, but also the conversations that he would have with Astrid. I mean, that shit was hilarious at the beginning of the movie where she was mocking the way that he talks. I just that gets me every single time. Um, it just makes these people feel real, and it adds to the stakes when at the end of the movie you have basically what's like a kaiju match. I mean, this was the same summer that the Godzilla came out, and
We
the
got a
main
big ass
concern about
fucking dragon.
Godzilla, or the main
See?
complaint
Yeah.
was, well, there's not a whole lot of Godzilla in this Godzilla movie. Well, if you want all of the quote unquote monsters, come to How to Train Your Dragon 2,
Yeah,
because we
really.
got it in spades. Yeah. We
Mhm.
got two dragons that are going to beat the hell out of each other with their tusks, and it's on. And I thought that the finale of this movie was, the villain was exactly what I kind of needed him to be, where he wasn't the focus of the
What's
movie.
crazy is he's a
He
threat,
definitely
and then
came
in the
into
third
play more
movie,
towards
I
the
feel like
end,
they up the
but
stakes
you
even
did
more,
feel
and the
like
tension between him and
this
his
guy
dad
is a
builds even
serious
more.
threat,
And I think that's what I really
and
like about this
bad
trilogy
things are going to
is
happen
it
if he's able
builds
to do what he
on
wants to
each
do.
movie as it goes, and I just think there's real thought behind it in terms of like how they were trying to set things up and how they were trying to tell this story. Kind of what happens at Burke and like what happens with these dragons. I think that it's really like clever and it's really well done, and the shots are cool. And yeah, like the ending scene, the finale, like that huge fight scene, the kaiju fight. I mean, like it's fucking awesome. Like it's a great ending scene. Like it's a great way to wrap the movie. Yeah.
These movies, they do a great job of actually giving the movie stakes and sticking to those stakes. Like in the first movie, Toothless gets hurt and he's got to deal with that. Hiccup loses a damn leg. They don't just like do
Yeah.
the Thor lost an eye thing where it's like, oh yeah, no, here's an eye. And they're like, no, he has like a fucking peg leg now. And in this movie,
Mm.
they get, Hiccup's family
Oh, I
is
know.
back
I
together.
will
He's
say
got
the ending
mom,
of
he's got dad, everything's good. Mom's coming
that
back to live
ending.
in Burke,
I was
and
like, do they have
then
to? And then,
dad
I mean, it works.
dies,
It works because
and
they're
They
that
had
like you
to throw in
said.
was
the Disney
tough.
factory. You got to kill off a parent.
Yeah. The whole time I was like, he's not actually dead. You know what I mean? Like the whole time I was thinking he's not actually dead. Like it's okay. Like they're gonna bring him back, and it's like
The Viking
no, they
funeral
don't.
alone and the visuals of that, and
Like
it
this
was.
movie.
These movies aren't
Right.
afraid.
This movie is for your kids, but ultimately it's to teach your kids like
Well, but
not everything's
before
a
we
happy
They
even
don't
get
talk
to
down
that
to
part,
kids.
You know, like
so many of these animated
stuff
movies
happens.
are just gonna hit you with the Nerf bat, and this movie's not
I mean, I
afraid
don't know
to,
about that.
be real.
But yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Hey kid,
mean-
your dad's gonna fucking die.
Yeah, on that
Yeah,
note,
you,
on
3-year-old
that
listening to
note,
this
Tommy, please
podcast right
continue.
now. Your dad is going to die. Probably before you. Unless
Well,
you
on
do
that-
some
on
stupid
that
shit,
happy note,
and
what
you're
I was
listening to
going
this
to say,
podcast, so you're probably on that track.
what I was going to say, before we even get to Stoic's death, we have the big kind of wrench that's thrown in there in the fact
Right.
that these guys have now come to rely on dragons as part of their life. And now all of a sudden this villain comes along that can now basically take the dragons away
Right.
with the alpha. So now you have this society that's basically grown accustomed to using dragons for everything, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wait,
Part of me
now it's
really
gone,
likes like binging these two
including
movies together,
our
like
most
watching them
powerful
back
dragon
to back.
basically just went over to
And
the other
like
side.
having the
and
gap between
Hiccup
like
having to
waiting a
deal with
week
how
to
am I going to
watch 2 and
overcome this
3
challenge, which
after seeing
I
one
thought was a very fun
because
way
of
of
the
how they
year
did it.
gap, and then like having
But
these two stories kind of collide like together. Part of me is like having a tough time like parsing like what I actually saw in 2 versus what I saw in 3 because they kind of seamlessly go like into each other, and I just think it works, and like that to me is the best part of the finale, I guess, of like 2. Is it just immediately like there's an ending and you're just like, oh crap, like we lost our best dragon, and like what are we gonna do? And it kind of leaves you on like a little bit of a cliffhanger, and then it's like if you really wanted to, you could just jump into 3 and be like, bam, okay, 3. And yeah, I kind of like that part of it, Tommy. Like you were saying, like there's real stakes involved. Like outside of Stoic's death, like that is what it is, and like that's super sad and emotional. But like now, yeah, but now we got to deal with this. Like we're even more screwed. Like that's crazy.
Sorry to that man.
Honestly, I
and
don't
the
know. I
scene
don't know many of the other dragons outside of
where
Toothless.
Hiccup
If we're being completely
gets
honest with ourselves.
jeez, I'm already blanking on the fucking dragon's name. Jesus, it's too late.
Toothless?
Toothless, thank you. I had a brain fart there. When
Yes, you did.
God, it just I feel that.
no, I just had a brain fart. I just
Yeah.
couldn't remember the dragon's name. But yeah, so when Toothless becomes the alpha and you have all the dragons just attacking the old alpha, that was such a cool scene. I don't know why.
So
It was just all the
so my
dragons
whole
come together and
thing.
all the Vikings, even though they were useless, were just like standing
Toothless
together.
really
Yeah,
did
my
a
whole thing.
Godzilla in that
Yes.
2014
Yeah.
movie where
Oh
he's just
yeah.
like,
The music
I'm
is
turning
sick.
blue and
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it really makes the
breathing
trilogy
fire on all
like,
you
the music,
bitches.
Like
definitely adds a
animation,
layer.
story, music, like that
Yeah,
whole
I mean,
scene
just
was just perfect.
when he becomes
John
the
Powell
alpha,
will take a bow, by
that
the way.
scene,
Yeah, the music in this
in my head, I'm
trilogy is
just like,
fantastic.
this is
Yeah.
what happens when wolves like pack up, and like this is what happens in wolves. Like the alpha takes over, and like they're killing the other alpha. Like this is what happens, and I feel like it's a real life scenario like played out. It's just using animated dragons. Right, and they're all wolves. Yeah, yeah. I mean, in an alternate universe, How to Train Your Wolf. Yeah, I mean, I can.
In an alternate
I'll get
universe,
mine
this
out of the
all
way
takes
since
place in the
probably the
Alaskan
lowest.
wilderness and they're all wolves.
I think you gave it like an 85.
All right, grade this thing. Let's go. All the A pluses out
Yeah,
there. Give me
fucking
some
love it.
percentages.
That's like Inception level.
I'll be
That's
honest,
fucking
I don't
sick.
remember what percentage I gave
I
How to
love
Train
it.
Your Dragon 1
I
last
fucking
week.
love it. So yeah,
Yeah, so this is an A
I
plus.
do.
Let's go 95.
I do like
Fuck
the
it.
order. I do like the
It's an
order.
A plus. I A plus.
Tommy usually goes before me, so I kind of like
That
that order.
is
But in this case, I hate
insanely
to be
high.
like the
I
low man.
loved this movie.
I'm gonna go A
Sorry,
plus
Nicole.
65.0.
Y'all just love throwing out these really high
Mitchell's
numbers.
the low man.
Hey. I give the praise it deserves.
My favorite DreamWorks movie, and I don't have it above a 65.0. Now I'm curious what you have.
Okay, so I'm definitely the hater of this. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? I don't give grades that high like almost ever.
No, agreed.
No. Okay. Yeah, but here's the thing. You got to keep in mind that my number 3 movie of last year was Better Man. And I gave that an A plus 12.77. So like that's still really
That's
good.
fair.
When if you get into the A plus, you are doing something very correctly, especially if you have double digits in the A plus, you're doing something very well. It takes a whole hell of a lot to get up my A plus ranking. It truly means a lot.
I mean,
so
I
when
would
I
give
say
The Shining.
this is an A plus
I would give The Shining.
13.34.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
telling
that the Two
you,
Towers like is
that's
not in
really
your,
good.
Like, well, whatever.
That is about
whatever.
the
It
same
doesn't matter.
grade that I gave The Shining.
It doesn't matter.
Just a little bit lower.
That's
higher than I gave The
but
Two
I
Towers.
just want to paint the picture for you, Mitchell, because I gave The Brutalist a 50.1. I gave Better Man a 50.
Hey,
A
return to
plus.
the cave.
I've given up trying to give.
And I
Mitchell's
gave
grades. I just
Better Man
accept it and move on.
52.6. So I think this movie is better than Better Man. Yeah, but I mean,
As an
for the
A
most part, I
or an A
do.
plus?
But I will also say,
Yeah,
like,
no, I didn't get there with that.
okay, your third highest movie is 13 something. Mine's like my
You just go
13th
higher
highest
with your
movie is like
grades than I do, and that's
14.3. You know what I
fine. It
mean?
is
Like
what it is.
to me, if you get into the A plus range, what really separates a movie is once you start getting over A plus 50, it's like, oh, okay, like this is a 5-star
From
movie. Like
last
this
year.
is a like, yeah, this is like a drop everything you're doing and watch this
Yeah.
movie type movie. So when I give something like a 50 or a 60 A plus, I'm saying drop everything you're doing and watch the movie. Like that's my point. All time favorite movie of all time, but yet I have a Hall of Fame for 75, so it doesn't really make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, when
I'll
I
also
give
say,
something that, it means
Tommy,
that,
I'll also
like,
say this. Mitchell likes to make fun
you
of.
know, yeah,
We didn't
like,
have a
well,
huge
no,
argument.
no.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm just,
Tommy,
you've
we
seen
have
me. I gave it
larger Hall of
99%
Fames,
to Inception.
but I would like to point
I'm
out,
capable
out
of
of
doing
like the
it.
400 movies I graded on Letterboxd,
We had a big
only
argument
20 of
about
them
this
are in my
earlier in
Hall
the
of
week,
Fame.
by the
So
way,
I'm only
Tommy.
giving like 5% of
Yes,
movies.
we did.
A Hall of Fame grade. Right. So if it's in your Hall of Fame, you're like, I fucking love this movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Look,
Right.
I'm a very easy to please person when it comes to movies.
5%,
I watch
Mitchell.
movies purely
5%
for
of the Hall of
entertainment,
Fames.
not for criticism
5%,
or
Mitchell.
for. Yes, it's a movie
Okay.
I'll watch over and over and be happy with.
Well, speaking of watching, all right. Well, I got lower, but it's all good. Um, speaking of got lower, let's talk about How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Might have spoiled a little bit of some things as far as my personal opinion regarding this
The
movie, but we'll
best
get there in a
year
minute.
I've seen
This
in
movie
theaters.
came out February 22nd of 2019. 2019.
Yeah.
Brandon knows all about this. 2019 was a goated year for
Yes.
movies.
It
was
knew. Yeah, it knew.
fantastic. Best year of the 2010s, I think, by a country mile, if not the best year of the century.
I'm surprised it
so
took
far
5 years.
for
to
movies.
make
This movie
this
had
It's almost like
100,
it knew
Yeah.
that cinema was going to take a deep decline the following year.
something like that. Yeah. $129 million budget, made 540. So this did very well. Number 16. Yeah, it definitely took them some time to get this one
Mm.
out. This movie, yeah, it got moved and moved back a lot. Originally, it was going to come out on June 9th, 2017, which would have been a really nice 23rd birthday
So
present
part
for
of
me.
is
Then it got
thinking
moved to
either
June
they
of
wanted to get it right
2018. Then
and
it
they
got
just kept
moved to
pushing
May
it,
of
or there was
2018.
like, this
Then it
movie
got
might be
moved
bad.
to
So we can get into
March
that,
of
but-
2019. Then from like it got moved
Yeah.
all the damn time.
Mhm.
Sometimes with animation, it's more of the first one because, like, for example, how many different
Fair enough.
things have we heard about when Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to come out? And same with Across the Spider-Verse. And
2.5.
Across the Spider-Verse, that is a Hall of Fame entry for me. I love that movie. So it's not necessarily that it's bad.
Oh.
So 2019, there were 2.5 animated movies that made more. I'm gonna go ahead and give the half because it depends on what you want to call the Lion King remake, whether that's a live action, whether that's an animated, whatever you want to say about it. So we're just gonna go ahead and get that one out of the way. What were the 2 animated movies that made more than How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World in 2019? Cheat on that, Tommy.
Well,
Yeah, Toy
Brandon,
Story.
you should get one of these.
Yeah.
I already know both these. I'm gonna guess Frozen 2 and
the
Lion
Lego
King.
movie
No, Toy
second
Story
We
four.
just
part.
talked about the Lion King.
I
Wrong
did-
answer.
Toy
Tommy,
Story
where's
4.
the other one?
Toy
Or
Story
Brandon,
4.
where's the other one?
Toy
Yeah.
Story 4. I already said it.
Yeah, I'm sure
That's-
Brandon was gonna be like Toy
that's
Story
tough.
2. Gotcha.
Did numbers. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that
get
came
the fuck
out
outta here.
that came out the same
Yeah.
month,
No.
and it did really poorly, especially considering that the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie were beloved. Um, but I think people were kind of waiting for this one. This was the one that people really wanted to see. So How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World comes out, and this one again, Brandon brought up a really
Mhm.
good point with the last movie about how we watched the first one and then we kind of watched the second and third back to back, and the movies kind of play out that way, where there's a 5 year gap in between one and two, and then only a 1 year gap between 2 and 3. So that was a really good catch by you, Brandon. Um, but this is Hiccup, and um, basically the main selling point for this movie is we
Which is
found
Light Fury. Yeah.
another Night Fury. But this one's a female. It's a Light Fury, and Toothless is trying to get his Mac on with this with this Light Fury, and doing the whole mating ritual type stuff. While you've got a another threat coming around
Drago
as
Bloodfist.
another dragon hunter
Yeah.
type,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes.
similar to Drago from or Drago or Drag, whatever the hell his name was,
Yeah.
in the second one. Um, this is yes, him as well. This is definitely my least favorite movie of the franchise, by a good
Right.
margin. I do still really like this movie, but I'm gonna lead off with the negatives because I think that most of my positives are stuff that happens towards the end of the movie. Um, I think that this movie, I talked about how two might have been addition by subtraction with the side characters. This movie definitely features those side characters more, and I did not appreciate that because I find them incredibly annoying. I do think that even though they do some
Mhm.
flashbacks and stuff, this movie does definitely miss the presence of Gerard Butler as
Yeah.
Stoic the Vast. That's something that you do feel the presence of in the first two movies, and it's distinctly missing from the third one. Um, I think this movie is animated worse than either of the first two. And I know that I'm probably on an island here. It's more colorful than I think any of the other movies are, but I didn't feel the like awe-inspiring, like there's landscape shots in the first and second movie that I'm just like, breathtaking away type of thing. And I didn't really have that experience with this particular movie. Um I also thought the villain was just a more boring retread of the second villain because I think they give him more screen time. Whereas the villain for the second movie, Drago Bloodfist, that's something that's just kind of a looming threat in the background until, okay, we really have to take this guy seriously. And that's kind of the way that Hiccup sees him as well. So it makes sense. And this movie just feels like an older guy that is just kind of a generic mustache twirling, like
For something,
British
for
villain,
something they've been
and I
tracking and
wasn't
trying to
really
find for I don't know
intimidated
generations, you would
by
think it'd be a
him.
little bit harder to
And
find.
I also thought that the hidden world was way too easy to find. For the hidden world, they found it very quickly.
Are you talking about Kong versus
Yeah,
Godzilla? Yeah.
Yeah,
going back to how he compared it to Godzilla with the last movie,
Man,
I kind of got the
the
same
Russo
vibe with the
brothers, the
whole
Russo brothers
world
nailed it.
underneath
Like they're
Earth
like you got to
vibe
go
that they
like
threw into like
through
the
some
full
weird shit to get to the
Godzilla
upside
vs.
down.
Kong
Other
movie.
places are just like
and
fuck
how
you,
it
you
was
just
just
go.
so easy to go
Well,
from
the
one to
Duffer
the
Yeah,
brothers,
it
other.
was
sorry, the
like, oh
Duffer
yeah,
brothers.
all of a sudden it's like,
They
oh yeah, we
fucking
have the
nail it. They're just
technology, we know
like,
exactly how to get
I
there.
mean,
All of a sudden,
can we make it a little bit harder? Like I don't know. I mean, it's just like, can we get
You
like
mean
a
the Duffer
portal?
brothers?
Can we get like a portal or something? Now I will say, I know.
At least some creativity, Yeah, because at least it's like, hey, you got to go through and like land on the mattress or whatever the hell. I'm glad they didn't do
Right.
the portal
There's
because
something called the
if there's
hidden
one thing
world.
they've
You'd
done a
think it
good
would be a
job
little
of
bit harder.
is of making the world feel big,
Can we
but at the
jump
same
to the Light
time
Fury?
they made it feel a little bit too easily discoverable
Her
for something
ability
called the hidden
to
world.
teleport via lightning. I don't know how I feel about it. I gotta be honest.
Go ahead. I mean,
I
that's a
don't know
major
how I
part
feel
of the
about
movie.
it. All of a sudden, this dragon can teleport. Like, I'm on board with everything in the movie, and I've been on board the entire time. But now you're telling me there's dragons that can
I thought it
What
was
do you
pretty
mean?
and like Toothless just didn't have an idea that he could do this like at all. He had to see like another Night Fury do it. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that would have been a handy mechanism in like the past two movies if he was able to teleport. Right? Now they can do everything.
So I made the joke when I was watching with my wife and daughter. I was like, I feel like they're treating the dragons
Right,
almost
right.
a little bit like Pokemon, where it's like all of a sudden they can
Oh
evolve.
man, I
Well, like
mean,
with the whole,
yeah,
especially in the second
I
movie
guess it's a
where
Pokemon still.
Toothless
Like
all of a sudden like
I
gets
don't know.
these
I
like
don't
new
hate it,
powers and new
but I'm just
colors, and
like,
he becomes
okay,
super
so in the
powerful all of
other
a sudden
two
at the very
movies,
end.
Toothless
Like,
just
oh, he
had
just
no
did a
idea
Pokemon evolution.
he could
He
do
must have
this,
hit level
and like he could
16.
do it now. I'm like, okay, I mean, okay, sure, I guess I can buy it, but yeah, it's just, I mean, to be fair, that scene between the two of them, really cool scene, really cool animation, really cool like shots. But yeah, I don't know. That's my like one like I guess if we're picking nits, Mitchell, that's my one nitpicking thing. Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Yeah, they gotta throw new stuff in there. They gotta make
There's
something
a
new.
little bit of
Otherwise,
like
the same
vibe.
old
Yeah,
dragons.
there's different vibes.
No, I did like I did like the Light Fury, and I liked that it wasn't just a straight up,
Yeah,
you know,
now,
1-to-1 clone
well,
of
Yeah.
yeah,
Toothless. They were
great move.
similar, but
Um,
yeah, they weren't just the same. It wasn't just
so
like, oh, this is,
with the Life Fury,
1985 Michael Jackson versus
so this
2000
guy just
Michael
kills off all
Jackson.
these Night
Although those are
Furies,
two
and no one
completely
else
different people
knows about
too.
him except Stoic.
So bad comparison.
Like this guy isn't
Very
passed down
bad
in legend.
comparison.
Like there's this guy out there that like kills Night Furies and like does it for fun. Like I don't understand how he told him. And he's like uber powered is what the idea is.
I don't get. Yeah, I don't get the. They basically just tried to do the second villain again, but with some
I
slight
don't think
differences.
the villain sucks.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to make him look like evil Maui from Moana,
Oh.
let's make him look like just
The bad guy from Up.
any
Let's
number
go.
of Game of Thrones characters.
No, you know who? You know what vibe he gave off? He gave off
Do you
the
think they
vibe
watched
of
Up and
the
they're like,
old
oh,
Charles
that's such a good
Dance.
villain?
No, the bad guy
Let's
from
fucking
Up.
steal that shit.
This random like
You know what? Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why, but just like the facial features and
Adventures
like the
out
body type,
there.
I was like, he kind of reminded me of him.
But how is he unknown? How is he
But
unknown?
it fits.
It wasn't even a good villain,
like
really.
if this dude's out here killing Night
I
Fury.
mean, it's better in that movie than in this one, as far as
baddest
I'm
dragons
concerned. But it
in
also
the
is a big
land,
focus.
he should be
Unknown
known. That
assassin
guy should be
type hunter.
infamous. Not
who was
no.
going after Night Furies, and that's what the villain in Up was doing. He was going after that weird bird thing.
He should be known.
So he liked him killing. Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
Not unknown.
I mean, I
that's
feel
fair.
like it was
No,
probably
that's fair.
unknown because
That's
of
a
the
great
fact
point.
that Stoic was so anti-dragon,
but he's telling him.
and they kind of
He's telling
isolated
him about the
themselves.
hidden
that I
world.
don't
He's
know.
like, "Oh, son, let me tell you about
I think
this
Stoic
lost
kind of just
world."
isolated
But
his
we got a guy out
community
here.
from the
We got
outside
a guy out
world
here
for so
killing
long
Night
'cause they just
Furies.
didn't want to
No
interact with
mention of
anything. That's
Who
my
are
kind of
you?
theory
I'm
to
like,
it,
yo,
and my
you don't
other
know who
theory
I
is
am?
that this guy is definitely. Yeah.
Not now, Dad.
I don't like. Well, they did do something.
Also,
They did do something.
I have another negative.
That one character just.
I feel
hits
like
on
they
her the
did
whole
nothing with Volca. They did nothing with Hiccup's mom in this movie.
No.
Nothing. She's just
Yeah,
there.
Kit Harington's. Is it not? Oh, was it Jonah Hill's
What did they do,
character?
Brandon?
Oh. I honestly, all those side characters. did, like,
Yeah, no, the
jumble
little
it up for
boy's
me.
trying to
I
fuck
just-
her. Yeah, that's something, all right.
Isn't that Kit
Do
Harington's
you need
character?
Do you need wedding advice?
No, that was Jonah Hill's
like,
character.
aren't you like the
Was
same age?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, Hiccup, I'm gonna be your dad, or like I just, and yeah, like this is why I'm very happy that no one was in the second one, or they weren't in the second one as much. That's why that's my favorite one. By the way, speaking of awful side characters, T.J. Miller voiced Tough Nut in the first one and the second one. However, before the third one was released, T.J. Miller had sexual assault allegations come up against him and got arrested for calling in a fake bomb threat. So they just got
Honestly-
some guy named Justin Ruppel, who I'm only 50% sure actually exists, to voice Tough Nut,
the funniest
and just
part
did all of the lines for
is-
T.J. Miller.
I could
And
not
was a
tell the difference.
big improvement
It
over
did not matter
T.J.
to
Miller
me
because
who
you could
Tough
have
Nut was.
you could stick a couple of
I never
googly eyes on a
understood the
coconut,
appeal.
and it
Well,
would be
you're
an
locked
upgrade.
in on the side
I never
characters.
understood the appeal to T.J. Miller.
Can I say that gosh, what's her name?
I
I
never would've
could
known.
tell.
not Valka.
I could tell because I was like, this guy doesn't make me want to.
Yeah, Astrid. I thought
This guy
Astrid
doesn't
had a
make me
different
wanna
voice
put a
character, but
fist
I think
through
it
the
was just like her
drywall.
voice
Huh?
I think America Ferrera just sounds different in this movie. To me she does. Like it's not like ruins the
Astrid?
movie totally noticeable. She just sounds a little bit different. And I
No,
was
it's
like
been
thrown off
America
by it because
Ferrera
I
the
was
whole
like,
way
did
through.
they get a completely new character to voice Astrid? So it's funny that you say they got a completely new character to voice Top Dog because I had no idea. I was like, oh, same character, whatever. Maybe that's just how much I could care less about the side characters, and maybe that's why like I don't care. I did. I mean, I knew that. Like I've seen it before, but I couldn't pick it out. I couldn't pick it out. Oh, do I know his name?
Did you know that McLovin was the voice of one of them?
Do I know his actual name? Yes.
Do you
Mintz
know what
Plus.
McLovin's
Yeah.
actual name is?
Yeah, it used to be Christopher Mintz,
Yeah, it's
right? It
McLovin.
used to be.
I think correct, Tommy.
He
100,
used to be.
100 points to Tommy. He is McLovin.
Am I-
His name is Christopher Mintz.
am I
But
crazy?
no, it's not.
His
His name is
name used to be
No,
McLovin.
Christopher
McLovin's
Mintz,
alias
right? And then
is Christopher.
He added the
Christopher.
plus at
Yeah,
some point.
exactly. His alter
I think.
ego is Christopher Mintz Plus. His name is McLovin.
Oh, okay.
The day
I've
he
heard
got, the
Christopher
day he
Mintz
got
before.
that fake ID, he'll be forever known as McLovin in my eyes.
Forever.
I will die on
McLovin
that note.
from the state of Hawaii.
I've never heard anyone call him Christopher Mintz.
Yeah.
I've barely heard anyone call him Christopher Mintz Plus. I've only heard people
I
call
will
him
be
McLovin.
appalled. Also, another movie that Jonah Hill was in. Right?
I mean, I hate to sound
Yeah.
like morbid,
Great
but
Jonah
his
Hill
gravestone will say
Left to
McLovin.
right. The
I
6
mean, I would
degrees
be
of Jonah
appalled
Hill.
if his parents didn't call him McLovin. I feel like everyone should call him McLovin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very true, yeah.
Well,
Jonah Hill's
Oh.
all over the place.
it's a smoke screen.
As far as not the end of this movie,
Yeah, it's a smoke screen.
I feel like you guys are going to be more positive than me, especially Tommy, because I've seen your letterboxed. So, but this also, I know Tommy likes to be like, "Who? But did you actually see my letterboxd? Like maybe I lied." No,
No, not this week.
But this does help because I can say, "All right, Tommy, I know that you're in a different position than I am."
No,
in a
I
different
want to hear
opinion.
it. I want to hear
What
it. I wanna
did
hear it.
you wax poetic? Tell us what would you like about this movie? What
Well,
stood out to you
I was gonna say
apart from
for-
the ending?
I was gonna say for the negatives, I
didn't
think-
ask for that.
Well, I want to say my negatives.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
they fell. I know I mentioned this last week, but I think they fell for they built the world a little too big, and you had to include all of this plus wrap up the trilogy in the same movie. You had an underwhelming
So-
villain, in my opinion. You brought in a brand new dragon that's very similar to Hiccup. Not Hiccup.
We're
Jesus,
gonna get to
Toothless.
the ending.
and it's like you have
Some
all this
people
new stuff, but
have
at the
their
same
opinions
time,
about it.
it's it's going to go away
I
after an
personally
hour
was
and a
sitting
half.
here going,
So it's like, how do you
"Are we sure we can't
introduce
make
all
a
this,
fourth
but
one?
basically end it all at the same
Are we
time and not expect
positive we can't make a fourth
perfection?
one?" You know what I
So
mean? But I feel
I
like
think
it
that's what
should have. I
I
feel like
think
it
they
should have
teased it.
happened,
You know,
and
they
that's the
left
Nah.
it
thing.
open, but at the
Nah.
same time, I think
Well, it's not going to happen
no.
now that they're doing the live action ones. It's been 6 years and there's not even one in
Like
development.
stories, yeah.
So here's my thing. Here's my thing. So I've compared this trilogy to Toy Story the entire time in the sense that they're some of the best trilogies ever made and the
But
best
4 is
animated
so
trilogies
goated.
ever. Toy Story,
Yeah,
I'm
4
happy they're
is so
making more Toy
goated. I'm
Stories.
like,
I
yeah.
enjoy them, but I still think they should have ended it at 3 because that was such a perfect ending
But they're
and such an
going to.
emotionally conclusive ending that
See, but I
it was
thought the
worth it.
ending to 4 was even stronger.
Yeah, but
And
that's the
now
thing.
with
I'm saying, like,
5, like,
I think the
I want Andy
trilogy
Now
itself
Dodger
you
was
to
don't need to
throw
powerful.
move
the
anymore.
Woody in the
Yes,
trash or
so
Toy
something.
Story
I want
5, yeah, I know.
Will
but that's the thing.
Smith.
Like, had they ended it at 3, we never would have gotten that strong ending at 4. But at the same time, I'm happy. I'm happy they're making more because I enjoy them.
Hmm.
Now, here's the thing. So
Yeah, I
now
think there was just a lot
now
going
bring it
on.
back
To
to
your
How to
point,
Train
I
Your
think there's a lot
Dragon.
going on.
The ending, I really enjoyed the ending. The movie itself as a whole definitely was lacking the
Yeah.
same magic that the first two movies had, and the same. But the ending to this was super powerful, very similar to Toy Story in the sense where it's kind of that passing of the torch of generations, where Andy hands off the toys to some new kid, but now here we have Hiccup, obviously married to Astrid, going back to basically. I don't know if they were purposely looking for the dragons or they just happened to be
See,
sailing out in the random
and
oceans
there's a perfect moment.
on a little
There's a
mini
perfect
vacation or
moment
something with their
there
kids.
to go to the fourth
But them
movie and
coming
be like,
across
now we have the next
Toothless
generation.
married to the
Like,
new
this is what
dragon
Degrassi does
with their
so
little
well.
baby dragons, and they all get like that kind of final ride together through like
Yeah.
their kids. Yes,
No. No.
that's something
Okay,
I think
that's something they could do, but I think they
don't
ended
shit
it
on
on such a
Degrassi the next
perfect
generation.
emotional
That's
note
elite
of
level
like
television.
oh, this is just like
Stop.
Degrassi.
Stop.
The only person watching
no.
How to
Okay,
Train Your
but
Dragon,
my
like, oh, I
point is,
think we need Drake getting
my
shot. This would make How to Train Your Dragon so much
Is
better.
Brandon
yeah.
too?
It's not perfect. It's
No,
not
no.
I
perfect.
think
It's
I'm
not
all right.
perfect.
We're
It's
gonna
not.
pretend
Um,
this conversation never happened, and we're gonna go
I think
back.
the ending for this trilogy is perfect. They all let the dragons go, and
I don't
then
dislike
it's
it.
perfect.
I don't dislike it. I think it's a really
And
good
that
ending. But
alone,
I
like
think they
my
left it
grade
open ended.
probably
And
would have
that's what
been
bothers me the most.
a
It bothers
good
me.
deal lower. It might
Yes,
have been a
that's
rotten
why
on
mine
Rotten
is as high
Tomatoes
as it is
without the
because I
ending.
think the ending was really good.
Did it be like it
Well,
would
of course
it
they
would
left it
it would
slightly.
really be
No,
like
they
They left
Godzilla
it
didn't.
did?
slightly open
It would
ended. They
really
could
be
have
like
ended it
Godzilla?
with 0 dragons and
Just
be like,
strong.
"Yep, dragons don't exist anymore."
What do you want
But
to
no,
end with a nuke?
well, no, it was the
I guess.
fact that
Oh well, I guess if everyone isn't dead, then they could come back and make How to Train Your Dragon
God,
4.
I want that to be the fourth movie now.
Yeah,
they
oh,
ended it
want
on a
that
yeah.
to be
note
the
Even a
fourth
of
nuke
movie.
wouldn't have
open-ended.
done it.
I want
A
that to be
nuke's
the
like,
fourth
oh well,
movie so bad.
now Toothless is actually Godzilla. Like,
I mean, hey, that could be how they tie
that's
it
where you
over.
go the next step of this
Hey,
franchise.
you know what? Maybe Toothless
I
is
said
the
nothing
ancestor
about
to
Drake.
Godzilla. We
You
don't
only
know.
you
Oh my
only
god.
you only know the
So
problem with
between
Degrassi
the
is you
two of
only
you,
know
I'm
like
hearing
5
that
things from
Toothless
it, and one
needs
of them
to
is like Aubrey
rise
Graham
up
is in it to get
and
shot.
shoot
Like that's the only
Drake.
thing you know. So
I
I mean,
I
it is what it is. It's
Toothless
probably
is
the most
Kendrick
controversial
I
part
am
of the
Lamar.
taking no
entire
part in this
show.
Degrassi
But
debate.
the
I am
point
standing
is
clear
it's
of that.
open ended. It's open ended, and I don't like it. I don't like it for that reason. I don't like it. I don't hate the ending. I think the ending is really, really good. Yeah,
Don't think it
that's
is.
fine.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think. I don't know. Yes, it kind of was open ended, but at the same time, it was just. It was a conclusive ending to the trilogy because it was Hiccup
Oh,
basically doing a
okay.
final.
Okay.
All
I'm
right,
in
here's a good
Italy and you're
comparison.
in
It was like
Italy.
the
Yeah.
ending to the Dark Knight trilogy where Batman's on his little vacation with his new family and happens to see Alfred again. It's that nodding of, "Hey, we made it. We're okay.
Because
We're
then you get
happy. We
Robin,
can move on with our lives and never see each other again.
then you get
No, we've made it."
Robin, then you get
Yeah,
Batman
but I do
Beyond.
think that
It's
is a
like you
little
could go
more
anywhere.
open ended because of the stuff with Joseph
Right.
Gordon-Levitt.
I leave Robin aside. I'm just talking about the Hiccup.
But I can't
The
because that's
Hiccup and
literally the
Toothless
last
comparison.
shot of the movie, Tommy.
So that makes it a great ending.
Yeah,
That makes it a
that's
great
the
I'm
ending.
last
And
simply-
shot
I
of the
don't
movie,
want to.
Tommy.
I
I
don't
can't
want
just
to
go, oh,
trying to
let's
compare
forget
it
the
seem like
ending
I
and
don't
forget
like the
the
ending.
actual
Because I think I'm
ending.
probably higher.
I'm simply
I think I'm
comparing
higher
it
on
to
the
the
ending than
fact
most
that
people.
Hiccup and
But
Toothless
I'm
got to
just
see each other
saying,
one more
for
time with
everything
their
that Tommy
family.
criticized it for,
Have a
the
little
world
field
got
day.
too big. We had to wrap up the movie. There was too much going on. Feels like you could have made two more. You could have made like another movie. Like you could
Kind of
have
seems like
you
you
could have
don't.
done a little bit more there. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
But see, I wouldn't have wanted that though because the villain was so underwhelming that it's like, what was the
Thank
plot going to
you.
be?
Thank you.
Had they had a good villain, yeah, if
There are
anything, they
people
could
that
have
had
reversed
that
it.
issue with the most recent Mission Impossibles, and it's like, well, this
Thanos
villain doesn't
is like
really
a four
warrant two
movie person.
movies. And while I liked both of those
Right.
movies, I would say that I can't disagree with the villain not being a two villain. Like Thanos, for example, in the Avengers, that is absolutely that's a two that's a two movie villain minimum.
Tom
Like
Cruise's character in
absolutely.
Collateral would have been
Grimace,
a better
whatever the
villain.
fuck this guy's name was,
In
is
this
not
one.
I think Grimace would have been an actual better villain. That would have been interesting. They got the Hamburglar coming in there too. Yeah, that would have been a much better movie. Yeah, but
The
you
fact
guys
that
don't like the
What
gray
an
hair.
amazing
the
reference!
fact that Grimace
What an
was not the
amazing
villain
reference! I
to
haven't
the
seen that
founder
movie,
or
but
whatever the
I've
movie was
seen
called
nothing but great things
of
about
McDonald's
the
is just
online.
I
That's
never
a great
will forgive
movie.
them. I will
No,
never forgive them
that's a
for
great
that.
movie. I'd rather watch The Founder than How to Train Your Dragon 3, but
The next generation, bud. The next generation.
I will never
I
forgive
don't
them
know
for not
how
including
we got The Founder
Oh,
'Cause you
he's
mentioned
going
from
Grimace.
hot.
How to
He's
Train Your
going hot.
Dragon. The Founder and Degrassi. I don't know how we got here, but something tells me it's time to grade this thing. Tommy, you want to go ahead and get us started off?
Yeah.
And tell us why you're going as high as you're going. Really make me believe
Yeah,
it.
I agree.
Look, I love these movies for the animation.
Hall of Fame.
It was very good animation overall between Disney and DreamWorks. I think this is one of the best animated movies in terms of actual animation visuals. The story itself and the villain, not so great. This was definitely the lowest of the trilogy, but the emotional ending that they made in this film
This
and
would be like
the
me
whole
giving up.
aspect of them giving up the dragons, which is basically became part of their lives. It would be basically us giving up our dogs, like something you would never think of. And
That's what Sarah would say.
they tied it
Okay.
off in a really nice bow.
A-.
So the ending is what saved it for me. It would have
I
been a lot
am
lower if the
happy
ending
to
was not as
be
good.
in the A- club.
I gave
with
it an
Tommy.
A-, like 10%.
And I
so
gave
it's
this, and
definitely
Mitch was
on the
gonna be
low
like, "Oh,
scale.
Brandon, you just hand out
That's
easy grades.
that's
You
a
just give
good
high
deal
grades."
lower than I
No,
thought you
don't.
were going to go.
Yeah.
even.
No, I don't.
So okay. All right, Brandon.
A- 5.5%. I still think.
Well, you didn't put it in the
I
Hall of
still
Fame,
think
making
this
it like the first
trilogy
movie this year
Well,
that
how
you
about
did.
you say your
phenomenal.
grade so we can judge you after?
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, he only does that.
All right, so
that's
we're in
a
the same
totally
range.
acceptable grade. Oh, Mitchell's gonna
That's
criticize me.
not
Mitchell
true.
proceeds
you can look
not
at
to
my
criticize
letterbox. There's
him.
A+6s. But
Mitchell only criticizes you when you
my
put
whole
it in
point
A+.
with this trilogy is it's phenomenal. It's
Not
really
even
well
that.
done.
Like I just
it
when
looks great.
every A
and the
plus, there's no
story
A
is
plus like
awesome. And
6%.
yes,
It's always A plus like
the
68.
score. I mean, I think the score
No,
like can
I
go
know.
without
I'm just
being
talking
said
out my
even.
ass.
But yeah, that should have been the first thing I mentioned. Yeah, that should have been the first thing I mentioned because honestly, that title song. Whenever I hear it now, I'm just like,
And the
okay,
score.
I need to go to
The score I
Spotify.
forgot to
I need to go to Spotify and just play it on repeat. Right. It's like you should be like
But
deadlifting.
we're gonna say it.
I get goosebumps every time.
I can play that shit at the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
No,
Yeah,
it's a good
some
running
good.
song.
Yeah, it's great.
a franchise that probably didn't need a
Okay,
fifth movie,
so
but whatever.
I think
like,
that
you know?
as far as DreamWorks trilogies
Yeah.
go, we're gonna get like what, a
Is
fifth
the third
Shrek movie
one
this year or next year
Shrek the
or
third, and
some
then
year?
4 is
Franchise
forever
that
after,
died
The
right?
first,
Okay. Yeah.
It didn't
but
need a third
the
or a
first
fourth.
two were really good, and then the third one was fucking awful. Shrek the third,
I gotta be honest.
awful, terrible. Yeah, Forever After is fine, but Shrek the third's like
The
almost an F.
fourth,
It's
the
so
fourth,
bad.
very forgettable.
Kung Fu
but,
Panda,
you know, I'm here
really
for
good
Poe.
first
We
two
want more
movies.
Poe.
I
I'm here.
really,
mean,
I love Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda 3
yeah.
is
Go ahead.
fine, and then Kung Fu Panda 4 was not good at
It
all.
was forgettable.
Damn.
I'm
just
You know what I
not
want
here
to
for
know
that.
though?
Punk.
I want to know what Mitchell's score is.
So this is the best DreamWorks trilogy because there are no okay entries. Although if they had not ended this so strong, this would have been on that B minus C plus, that B minus C plus. You know, is it fresh? Is it rotten? Uh, barrier
Okay.
for me. However, the ending of this I loved so much, and I thought they did such a good job with it, and really made me reflect on the trilogy as a whole. I give it a B plus 45.78%. I
Okay.
do really like it. I liked it less than I did in theaters, but I also remember the middle of the movie going, "This is a really disappointing movie," and then things kind of started to turn around a little bit for me. So that much did not change as far as I'm concerned. However,
I'm watching the
if
show.
I'm
I'm
going
watching
to
the Riders
watch a
of
How to
Burk
Train
before
Your
I watch
Dragon
this
movie, and I'm
third
not
movie.
watching the trilogy with
gonna
my
be honest.
boys as we have been in the last week, this is definitely the one that I'm. Are we going to watch one, or are we going to watch two?
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm probably honestly going to watch a Madagascar movie before I watch one of these, because at least that's funny. But these movies, it's rare for DreamWorks to not focus on the comedy, and I appreciate the fact that they did that with this series and that they took it more seriously, and that really paid off in all of these movies. But again, if I'm going to watch a How to Train Your Dragon movie, I'm either going to watch the first or I'm going to watch the second. This, apart from, when I eventually watch this trilogy with my kids down the line, this is probably the last time I'm going to watch this movie until that point. So I'm not really going to think about this movie in the same way that I do
And
the other two.
plus, with the live action movies coming out, and the fact that they made a whole world on it down in Universal, it's not going away anytime soon.
Oh, no. I just hope that when they do that live action, maybe they make the third one a little bit more interesting. We'll see what happens. Also, when I do my best of 2014 list, whatever the hell that happens down the line, How to Train Your Dragon, and 2014 was a damn good year for movies. How to Train Your Dragon 2 will be prominently on that list. So, all right, that wraps things up for the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. If you have not watched it, please check it out, and also we spoiled everything for you. So, have fun with that one. The Steven Spielberg Palooza begins next week, and we start off with maybe the two most serious and two most acclaimed Steven Spielberg movies, with Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List, two different sides of World War II. I don't want to say I'm excited to talk about those, because I know those are incredibly just dramatic and heartbreaking movies to watch, but the Steven Spielberg marathon is going to be a fun one. I know that those two are some of not just his best, but some of the best movies ever made. Slight spoiler alert, but if you're surprised by that, you really shouldn't be. So join us next week for reviews of those two movies, and go create your own opinion on the movies we talked about today.